Welcome back, everyone. Part two of episode 11. What the hell were we talking about before the call ended? Um,
The draft. We're talking about wide
right,
receivers in the draft, number one option for the Patriots.
right. Yep. So that'll be interesting to see where we go. Obviously, it depends heavily. We're at four, so it depends heavily on what happens at one, two, three. I mean, the Titans, you have to assume are going to take a quarterback. Who the hell's it to? The Browns. I mean, if they get, you know, Russell Wilson, which I don't think they will, but if they do, they're probably not taking a quarterback, almost certainly not. So, maybe Hunter goes there. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna hope for Travis Hunter. Who knows though?
Would you be upset if you traded back to, I would say, seven or eight or nine? Would you be upset with trading back and taking a lineman?
Honestly, probably. So I'm not. I'll preface my answering. I'm not a big college guy, so I don't know too much about the draft. I just obviously know Travis Hunter's an absolute stud, but so probably. eh, I mean, the fan base would probably be livid. I probably wouldn't be too livid because it looks like Vidarian Lowe is going to start, so we certainly need a lineman because Vidarian Lowe, Jesus Christ. I mean, our offensive line was a disaster last year, but Vidarian Lowe, my God. So we still need a lineman, and that would be the most patriot thing to do is draft a lineman over someone like Travis Hunter. Not necessarily that it would be like a bad pick, but obviously like Hunter would be like the sexier pick compared to like an offensive lineman. So I probably wouldn't be too upset now, but I would probably just prefer Travis Hunter because why the hell not? Let's just take a fly. Not even that it's going to be a big flyer. It's probably going to be a stud anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, right? I thought about the same thing, but I also know this draft class is very top heavy, right? So after like the first, I would say after Abdul Carter goes off the board, after Travis Hunter goes off the board, after those are like the two blue chip prospects, right? So those are the guys that you really like dream about in a draft that, somehow, that position group is dialed in, right? I would say the quarterback draft class is awful. It's only two guys, pretty much three, but with quarterback, it's so unpredictable, right? You'll have guys that, will just take off. I mean, look at Brock Purdy. I mean, he's a seventh round draft pick. Nobody regarded him as a big prospect, and he got taken and he's probably gonna get a $40 million contract this year. So, I mean, who knows? I would say probably if we look at, I mean, the wide receiver, I said they weren't that good. I didn't really like the wide receivers this year besides Travis Hunter. Um, but linemen, there's a couple good lineman prospects in this draft. So if it is a deeper class for that with guards and tackles, I think you could really look at that in the second round. So I think in the draft, my philosophy was always BPA, which is best player available. And then I use free agency to address needs. So I think free agency, the way that you spend your money, should set you up for the draft, right? And the two things that I see from the Patriots that they really need is a number one wide receiver and a lineman, right? So it looks like right away that they attacked defense heavily in free agency, right? And then they're probably going to attack this offense in the draft, right? And that's probably addressing a guy like a wide receiver like Hunter, a wide receiver like McMillan, a cornerback, cornerback slash wide receiver with Hunter. Tackle will probably be somebody like Cameron Williams from Texas. He might go possibly in the second round to you guys. Ariante Ursary, he might go from Minnesota. Maybe he goes in the second round to guard or tackle for you guys, depending on what you want. So there are some good prospects day two. It really just depends on which position group you're talking about. And in this specific draft class, it's actually pretty depth like good with the guards and the tackles in the second round, right? So I think you can address need and BPA in the second round if you take Hunter fourth overall. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think in general, I would be upset if they chose anybody else but Hunter if I was a Patriots fan. And then Or what do you think about Abdul Carter? Because Abdul Carter is also a guy that, you know, from Penn State, everybody's comparing him to Micah Parsons. So, I mean, you just lost Judon. So, do you think that you could see the Patriots even shocking you a little bit and just going with that position?
Um, hmm, that would definitely surprise me because you know, we have not been in on him at all, it seems like. And I think I saw rumors that like the Titans are like even looking at him. So obviously, if it's off the board, that answers that question. But I will be surprised if we say at four and Travis Hunter's on the board. I will be surprised if we don't take him. But we did change our draft philosophy, the way we look at draftings. We've been so awful for the most part. So I know who the hell knows. I mean, we keep addressing defense. It's like, when are we going to add to offense? And we keep doing defense. So it's like maybe they just keep stacking the defense for the hell of it. Um, especially with the BPA you were just talking about. That's take that into consideration. That that would surprise me. The fan base would probably be pissed off, but it seems like some of the draft, like what might be the most appealing to fans like doesn't necessarily correlate to like the best result for the team. Some of the time it does, but some of the times it doesn't. So I probably wouldn't be too opposed to that, but I haven't even thought about that. I'll have to think about that. I never even thought about it as a scenario.
Yeah, because I mean, in the Giants situation, right? We have an opportunity to take a quarterback in the top three, right? Now, if Shadur goes and if Cam Ward goes, I don't want Dart at three, and I don't want Milrow at three, and I don't want Will Howard at three, right? So now it's either we trade back and look for a quarterback next year, right? So if we trade back and we trade back to seven, eight, nine, but again, you also need a partner to trade up with, right? So if teams are targeting a guy like Hunter, targeting a guy like Carter, and they trade up, that is, I mean, we're missing out on a blue chip prospect if we do that, right? And if we do that, I don't know if I like it, but if we're addressing quarterback in next year's draft, we could use those assets we got this year for the next year, right? So if we wanted to move up and be aggressive with our draft next year, and we think that next year is going to be a better quarterback class, which is looking like it's going to be with Newsom and Arch Manning, maybe we don't really know about Arch Manning yet, but Newsom will probably declare next year. We'll have Drew Aller from Penn State probably declaring next year as well. So next year is looking like a pretty good draft class in the quarterback realm of it. So I think in regards to possibly moving up, next year would be the year to do it. Now, do we use, this year as a year to get those assets to move up next year, or do we, with Joe Shane's job on the line, do we attack a blue chip prospect and a veteran in free agency that we'll just have to keep for 1 year, 1 or 2 years, and address next year? So we really don't know as a Giants, fan. I don't really know what we're going to do, but it all goes back to Aaron Rodgers, and it all goes back to this damn free agency class. Like it really does. It really goes back to the quarterbacks this year, and seeing where they go. Because then I wouldn't mind having a Russell Wilson, and then if Shadur and Sanders and Cam Ward go, I wouldn't mind Russell Wilson all year. Um, we have a hard schedule this year. I wouldn't mind a little stopgap option for a franchise quarterback next year. And if we sign Russell Wilson, I can kind of see it being a 2 year contract anyway. So if we sign him for a 2 year contract, I think him being on our team for 2 years with a 1 year opt out would probably be ideal and probably team friendly for the team. So guaranteed money would have to line up perfectly with that ordeal. So I would say Russell Wilson is my top target. And I would like one of those two quarterbacks to fall to three. If we don't have an option there, I think we go BPA. And I think we're going to take Hunter if at number three, if we don't have that opportunity to take a quarterback. So I think it would be Travis Hunter, Malik Neighbors, veteran quarterback, upgraded offensive line, um, and an improved defense. And honestly, I wouldn't mind going into 2025 with that kind of lineup, just because, like I said, I don't think we're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think we're going to go to the playoffs, but it is a better chance to move in the right direction for the future of this franchise, right? And with Joe Shane's job on the line, I think the best thing for us to do as a Giants fan would be to just, you know, not make this year look ugly. I mean, really just not make this year. I don't want to see any more freaking planes flying over MetLife, and it's just a joke of a franchise, fire Mara and all that, or, sell the team and all that. But no, I think the best opportunity for us is to probably do that option and, just get better everywhere if there's two quarterbacks are off the board.
Yeah, you mentioned it. A lot of it depends on what Rodgers is going to do, and that's probably exactly what Rodgers wants to be in control of not just the Giants draft strategy and philosophy, but the Steelers, maybe the Vikings too, every team that's in on them. And yeah, I even think about that Joe Shine, not coaching, but managing, general manager, and every want to phrase it for his job. Because if the Giants have another rough year, I mean, his seat is obviously extremely hot. So
What's on
that,
fire?
yeah, on fire. So he'll, if they have another rough year, he's probably gone. So he's probably putting in extra hours, I'm sure, in the draft philosophy here.
Yeah,
Um,
and knowing that too, right? If I'm a general manager and I'm Joe Shane right now, right? And we have a top three pick and we somehow do not get a quarterback out of out of this draft that is Shador or Cam Ward. I mean, can you really blame the guy for really not taking a quarterback at three?
yeah,
So you have to go best player available when it comes to that. So, and then you don't want to, wait for next year because next year, you might not even be on the job selecting the next quarterback. So from my point of view, it's rough as a Giants fan because we could draft a. I hate it. It's this very scary time for us, right? Because we could draft a quarterback at number three, and once we draft a quarterback, next year happens. Let's say we have another bad year. He gets fired, right? So Joe Shane would get fired with a rookie quarterback, with a second year quarterback coming in, and now we're going to bring in a new general manager, right? So that general manager didn't draft that quarterback. That new general manager didn't draft that quarterback. So what is he going to look at a new direction for a quarterback? Because a general manager's job relies on selecting their quarterback, right? Last year, I saw a lot of Giants fans, pissed at the fact that we won all those games in December. I think we went on a 3-game winning streak with Tommy DeVito, right? And everybody was pissed because we left that game last year with not the third pick. And, we versed the Patriots and you guys got Drake May and you guys are looking for a promising future right now because you guys have that third overall pick, right? Um, you know, and the Commanders had that second overall pick and look where they are now. I mean, they went to the freaking divisional. Caleb Williams, I think that future's still bright. I mean, if you look at what they brought in this year to help him out with Ben Johnson and how many offensive linemen they brought in for. I mean, they brought in a lot of money on that offensive line, and resources for Caleb Williams to succeed this year. They have a step in the right direction because they don't have to address the most important decision in their program's history, pretty much, or organization's history. So, you know, it's very scary as a Giants fan because what happens if we have another bad season and we just select a rookie quarterback? What are we gonna, get rid of that new general manager and then bring a new one in? It's rough, and it's all because of those two. It really is because of those games that we won, and that was the games that we won this year and the games that we won last year. That's why I was all aboard the tanking this year, because I remembered last year that we couldn't trade up with the Patriots because you guys wanted a king's ransom for, you know, Drake May, pretty much. I mean, we all knew that was probably going to go 1-2 was probably going to be Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, and then Drake May at three. So if there was a deal that it couldn't pass up, I mean, we're looking at like 4 first-round picks for Drake May to move back 3 spots in a deep quarterback draft class. Looking back, we probably should have selected. I mean, Malik Neighbors is Malik Neighbors, right? But quarterback being the most biggest position on a football team. I mean, you probably have to go with. I mean, I mean, maybe Penix, maybe JJ McCarthy, but we don't really know what they look like either still. So I don't know. It's scary as a Giants fan, and I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. Maybe we look back at Bo Nix. I don't know, but
yeah.
um, I don't know. I'm not a fan. It's
Well,
scary.
yeah, the good thing of you, the Giants, is if you want a quarterback at three, I think at least one of the two, either Ward or Sanders, will be there because I'm sure the Titans are probably taking one of them, and the Browns with Watson, that contract, I really don't think they're going to take one. And then obviously you guys are at three, so you'll be able to pick either Ward or I don't think Sanders will go one overall, first overall, but who knows? So if you guys want the quarterback option, I think it'll be there, but who knows? Who knows at this point?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too, right? So I was thinking I don't think that the Browns are going to take that because it's just so much money towards the quarterback, market. But Watson re-injured his Achilles, right? So who knows if he's going to even play this year, right? So if you go into this year with like it's just basically another throwaway year. I think that's why Myles Garrett wanted to freaking leave because he sees Watson just re-injured his Achilles and there's no really path for a quarterback. Um, the thing is too is Myles Garrett went onto a podcast and he said, I wouldn't sign here if I wasn't confident in the quarterback plan for next year, right? I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah,
I just had
yeah,
a little.
no,
Did you
yeah,
catch?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So, of course, Myles Garrett goes on this podcast, says, I wouldn't be confident or I am confident enough in the quarterback plan that they have for next year. That's a little scary for me because what that means is, does that mean that he's going to get signed to a team? What's happening in the draft? Did the Browns feed him information that they, wanted a quarterback in this year's draft? And, what is it? Maybe it's Rodgers. Maybe it's, something, like maybe not Rodgers for the Browns, but maybe it's a Russell Wilson that they're targeting. Maybe it's a Kirk Cousins they're targeting. Maybe it's a Jameis Winston they're targeting and he felt confident. I think the only real confidence that he says would have to be from a rookie. And that's where I kind of thought maybe we would switch off of not getting a quarterback at one or two, right? Just to keep Myles Garrett happy. I think that they're going to draft a quarterback because they paid him a lot to stay, in which I actually would have traded Myles Garrett if he wasn't happy in Cleveland. I think that's a lot of money that you shouldn't really spend in a team that already has a huge contract on the books with Deshaun Watson. But man, I'm not very confident the Giants are going to turn this franchise around with a quarterback from this draft.
yeah. I didn't even think, I completely forgot that Watson, Massage Watson, as I call him, hurt his Achilles again, might not be able to go next year. Honestly, they just need to let Watson go. Just cut him. I know they'll take a shitload of dead cap, but it's like, I did a QB rankings video based off this past season. I hit him at literally dead last, number 32 out of 32. He has been so awful with the Browns. They just need to move on, just take the hit like the Jets just did with Rodgers. Just take the hit and just start over at the quarterback position. And I completely forgot about that podcast you just mentioned with Myles Garrett. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. He wouldn't have signed back if he didn't believe in the team's most important position, quarterback, who's going to play quarterback for them. So maybe they will draft a rookie, but then I guess maybe to keep you optimistic a little bit that a quarterback will be there at 3. There's rumors that the Titans might just stick with Will Levis. I don't think they should, but maybe they stick with Will Levis, let it ride out another year. So even if the Titans get a QB at 1, I still don't think they're going to be great next year. I think they'll be have a similar year to this year, probably like, not as bad, but probably like 5, 6 ish wins. So who knows?
You know what's funny is I thought about this idea, right? So if Shadur and Cam are off the board at 1 and 2, I actually thought about the Giants going out into the trade market and getting a guy like Joe Milton. Because if we have to bring in a guy who's raw and has talent, you know, I think if we put him in the right situation, we can make Joe Milton a good quarterback. Like I saw flashes from him last year in the preseason. And I know that's against backups. I know that, it's kind of fixed for him to do whatever. I would not mind. Like what let's say I'm the general manager of the Giants, right? And you're the general manager of the Patriots. And we're negotiating a pick for Joe Milton, right? What would you say to me? Or well, I'll come up with what I'm going to say to you, right? I would say first of all, like obviously you know our situation. We tried for a quarterback last year, and you saw that in the Hard Knocks episode, which became freaking viral. Now nobody's doing that because we ruined it because New York and Giants suck. But we came out and we said, we're looking at a quarterback for depth. I would say Tommy DeVito is not the answer for us, and we're looking in the quarterback situation, right? So if one or two, if Cam and Ward are off the board, I'm negotiating with you. I'm going to say I will give you a fifth round pick for Joe Milton. What would you say?
Well, actually, it's funny you said that because earlier a report that came out that said we're asking for a third pick for Joe Milton. So, I mean, obviously we're going to trade. Well, not confirm, obviously, but it's very likely we're going to trade Milton because we just signed Josh Dobbs to a 2 year, I think, 8 mil contract. So obviously he's going to be the backup. We're going to look to trade Milton, which I guess it makes sense why he didn't technically start the game. May like played for a drive, and then we played Milton the rest of the game. So I guess it makes sense why you played Milton the whole game. Basically, it's to showcase him for the trade block. So that makes sense now. So it looks like we're just asking for a third or a I was gonna say third overall pick, third round pick for Joe Milton. So if I think that so a third rounder for a guy that has really only played one meaningful game besides the preseason, and it was against the Bills backups. And again, anything can happen in one game. Maybe that's asking for a lot, but he played amazing in that game, balled out. So I guess I don't know. Maybe it's too high. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
I
I'm
think I think it's personally way too high. I would never go with a third round pick for a guy who was drafted in the sixth round and only has a small sample size of that small, right? So as a general manager, I mean, what's funny that you said that is the Giants, you said the Patriots were looking for a third round pick. The Giants have two third round picks this year because of the McKinney leaving. So the fact that it's funny you said that because we have pick 65, which is the third pick in the third round. And we also have a comp pick at pick 99 um, for Xavier McKinney leaving, right? So we have two third round picks. So it's funny that the Patriots come out and they say we want a third round pick for, Joe Milton. It's pretty crazy how he said that. I would probably only give you my fourth round pick. I would probably give you pick 105, which it's only six more picks after that third round, right? So, I mean, you go from pick 99 or pick 105, I'd probably give you 105, right? Um, and it's early round four, so it's not late round three, but whatever makes you feel better if they want that late round pick. I I mean, I would consider it. I mean, if we're looking at Tommy DeVito and a veteran next year, if you're looking for somebody to really learn behind a scheme, I don't think it would be bad to see Joe Milton behind a veteran quarterback to as a successor. I think I saw a lot of things last year with Joe. I mean, everybody knows he has a cannon for an arm, right? We saw him, you know, last year just play without any pressure, just kind of letting it fly. There's no expectations. The problem is I don't know if he was overrated a lot by Pats fans, because I know that everybody was talking about, oh, the next Tom Brady because of, where he was drafted and all that crap. But everybody knows that Drake May is the answer, and you want to build a good team around him. Um, and I look at your situation too. Is okay. First of all, you went out and you got Josh Dobbs in free agency. So now, from a Giants point of view, I realize that like you want a third round pick, but you're not going to get a third round pick because I feel that you have an over. You guys have three quarterbacks in that room. You're not going to use three quarterbacks.
Yeah,
So in my opinion, I wouldn't mind just giving you. I think I mean, you drafted him in the fifth or the sixth round, right? Last year, was he a sixth round pick? I believe sixth round.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
yeah, so sixth round pick. I would give you my fifth round pick. It's all about what Joe Shane kind of deals up here. Because I look at your QB room, you have three quarterbacks in there. You're obviously not going to play three quarterbacks in a season unless there's something that goes seriously wrong. But you wouldn't trade for you already wouldn't go out in free agency and get a position of need if you didn't have to, right? So if you're going to go into the season with Drake May and Josh Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs helps out, a rookie young quarterback who's a veteran in many different schemes. And if Joe Milton doesn't provide value to you, I have to see that from an organization and say, you know what, I'm only going to give you a fifth round pick. And if you want to have a bidding war with other guys and other teams, go ahead. Good luck because I think after all these signings happen, I still think that we could be in the, realm of a quarterback of Joe Milton. I think I saw enough last year to trade for him. So if you want to take a low risk, high reward kind of swing in a draft class that's relatively weak this year, I think why not give him a fifth round pick? Fourth might be a little steep, especially our fourth. That's a 105, so it's early fourth round. I would give you that fifth round pick, that 154, right? Because I think at pick 154 at round five, it's Seattle's pick, so it's not even our pick, it's Seattle's pick. But I think 154 for Joe Milton. I think that's fair. I think a fourth round, a mid fourth round, late fourth round is also fair for a guy with a small sample size. But, these quarterbacks last year, it was a stacked class last year, you know? And if one of those good guys dropped, I don't even know what Joe Milton might even be like a quarterback. I mean, probably like a quarterback 4 or 5 in this draft class. I mean, that's how atrocious this quarterback draft class is this year. Um, I think I think it'd be fair to throw a little fifth round draft pick. I think it'd benefit you because you have no value for him, and I think it'd benefit us because we're taking a risk on a guy.
Yeah. Um, I guess that's kind of the problem with signing Josh Dobbs is like you were just talking about that right away. Well, he was already kind of trade rumors before we signed Dobbs, and then pretty much signing Dobbs confirmed that. So there goes all of our negotiating room, negotiating power. It's like, well, clearly we're not going to, we're very likely not going to keep him. So probably asking for a third rounder is, I don't think we'll get a third rounder. I think that's probably too high. I yeah, I think if we get a fifth rounder, if he turns out to be like a complete baller and a stud, we're gonna look like idiots. We're just trading him straight up for a fifth rounder. But as of what we know right now, I think that would be relatively fair, knowing we're probably gonna cut him. Obviously, I'd like a fourth rounder more, but I don't think we're gonna get a three. I think the Patriots will probably trade him to whoever for probably a fifth rounder, if I had to guess, is what teams will be able to negotiate it down to. And then, like we were talking about, I don't think either of us expect the Giants to be too great next year. So why not take a flyer with Joe Milton? I why not?
I think the Patriots are kind of using that third round pick as like a leverage and how they value him.
Yeah,
I think they're literally going to say like, yeah, we're really looking for a third, but you're looking to trade him for a fifth. Let's meet in the middle. They're going to kind of. I think you're going to see Joe Milton go for a fourth because I think in this draft class, I think that you can get a fourth for him, and I think that wouldn't be too out of reach. I just don't like the 105 pick because I think it's too early for a guy like Milton. I would maybe assume like a mid fourth round. If you look at a mid fourth round pick, late fourth round pick, maybe then you're talking about a possible, value kind of thing. But yeah, you lost a lot of negotiating power probably by signing Josh Dobbs. So I kind of agree with you there. I actually thought you guys were going to go next year with Joe Milton and just Drake May, and I thought that was pretty good enough. But I understand why they brought in Josh Dobbs because of that veteran presence, and I think Drake benefited a lot from his raw ability with having Brissett there. I think Brissett kind of slowed the offense down for him and helped him out. So I understand the leadership kind of quality that Brissett and a veteran quarterback have. So when you bring in a guy like Josh Dobbs, who's been around I mean, he's been around the league. I mean, he's been passed around. I mean, crazy. So, I would completely agree with bringing in that veteran just to help out your future franchise quarterback in Drake May. So, I mean, Milton, he doesn't really provide anything for your team. And I think a lot of teams know that. So, you guys asking for a third was the right thing to come out and ask for a third because it shows that you still value him as a high prospect and it looks good for, uh, negotiating power. But if a team wants him for a fifth, you want him for third, you guys can negotiate to be like, hey, you know, I saw your asking price as a third, your asking price is a fifth. I say we can meet in the middle there and compromise, right? So I think that's another good negotiating thing that you guys did, and we'll see where Milton goes because I think you are going to trade him, but I don't know what it's going to be for.
yeah, yeah. That's gonna be interesting there. Um, one thing I think we should talk about is the Bengals. Last night paid Jamar and T. Higgins. Uh, Do you like it? Thoughts?
So I so I've been very outspoken about this with everybody that I know. I think T. Higgins is one of the most overrated wide receivers in the league. Um, and I'm not afraid to say that. I think Jamar Chase, he deserves every penny of that contract. I think Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and what they've been able to do, it's been pretty special. I've never been a big fan of T. Higgins. He just doesn't stay healthy enough for me. I don't like his hamstring problems that always occur every year. We talk about his damn hamstring. Um, I think his route running is very overrated. I think he's very tall and he has a very good jump ball ability. So he's very good in that skill area of his. I think his route running is very overrated though. I'm not a fan of his route running. Joe Burrow puts the ball in great spots with T. Higgins, and as he should because he's a big frame guy, six, I mean, he's probably what, 6'5", 6'4", maybe 6'3". Like he's tall, he has long arms, he's athletic. T. Higgins is a very special player, right? But his raw abilities that comes to route running, when it comes to his injuries, I'm not a big fan of him. Um, so I don't even put him as a top 20 wide receiver in this league. I don't even think I put him as a top 25. I think he's a top 30 wide receiver, and that's saying a lot because I think there's a lot of guys better than T. Higgins. And when we get, I've debated this a lot with other people, but I think T. Higgins is overrated. Uh, I don't like the contract. That's a lot of money for a two, and I understand the contract. I understand he's, been a Bengal for a long period of time. Not a fan of T. Higgins. Uh, I think that defense, I mean, these Bengals, man, they better go defense first round. They better go defense second round. They better go defense third round. They better go defense fourth round, maybe special teamer fifth round, linebacker sixth round. Like it's getting scary because we don't even know what Trey Hendrickson's going to get yet. And he's upset not getting a contract. And when you're paying all these guys and they're backloading contracts now, like I think they're in very big panic mode. They should have paid Jamar Chase that extension after the third year. Everybody should have understood that because now the market has exploded for wide receivers. And look at what he just did. Justin Jefferson got paid last year, 35 million. Jamar Chase just broke that by $5 million a year more, right? I think maybe six, maybe it was six. But that's a huge jump from the market. And if you would have got him at a discount 2 more years ago, like the second Malik Neighbors is up with his third year, the second he's up, I'm giving him, I mean, with the market now, it's $40 million. I'm going to probably give him 45, $47 million a year, right? Because he's a solidified number one option for a quarterback. And he is on the same level as those guys. So I think, Malik Neighbors hits that free agent market. I'm paying him that too. Um, I don't like the T. Higgins. I think they could have used the money elsewhere. I don't even think that it should even be on Hendrickson. I think they could have also addressed a couple other positions in the secondary instead of even just basing it off Hendrickson. Hendrickson is a leader, right? He is a leader. He's a stud there. He's been there for years. I like Hendrickson, but there's so many holes in that defense. There's a lot to go around there. I'm not a fan. I don't like what the Bengals are doing. It just seems like they're setting themselves up for failure again this year. Like what the story's gonna be the same story as last year, right? Oh well, they could have beaten the Patriots and they would have made the playoffs. They could, like they could have done this, they could have done that, they could have done this. It's like those those scenarios are fixed in the offseason, and you haven't fixed a damn thing in that defense yet. And now you have a guy who's coming up on a big contract. They're relying on inexperienced young guys next year and low risk, high reward players. Low risk, high risk, and like high reward players. So not a fan of it, but that's just me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you spoke a lot of what I was going to say too. I definitely think there's positives and negatives to it. Positives are obviously Jamar, complete stud. T. Higgins, I know you said he's overrated, but obviously you probably think he's a very good receiver. So obviously he's very well with Joe Burrow. So the good thing is those guys have been in contract disputes for like 2 years now. It's been lingering, been an issue. It's solved, out of the way, done. They're paid, happy. So there's that. Bad news. Well, and then the good news is obviously their offense last year was not the problem. Their offense was very, very well or very good last year. they were like historically good, like scoring 30 plus points, but they kept losing because their defense was so bad. So their offense is pretty much the same, besides their offensive line. Last year was a bit shaky, but now even a bit more shaky there. Uh, but obviously the negative is you talked about it, their defense. Their defense was obviously the problem last year, and they did pretty much nothing to address it. And now Hendrickson requested a trade, and as god awful as the defense was last year, Hendrickson balled out last year. And they're gonna have, well, actually now it's saying Hendrickson they're contract negotiating, so maybe he'll stay. But even if he does stay, they're obviously gonna have to pay him a bunch of money. I mean, who the hell else are they going to get? Like all the free agents we talked about, the top tier ones are pretty much all gone. They're just going to have to try to rely on the draft, just have a hell of a draft. Um, I guess they changed coordinators from Lou Anarumo to Al Golden. I don't know much about college, but Al Golden apparently he balled out with Notre Dame. Apparently their defense on paper was not too great. It was like very good. So I mean Lou Anarumo I think was pretty bad last year, even though I very much liked Lou Anarumo prior to last year. Um, I guess they're just banking on Al Golden just pulling like a Vic Fangio with the Eagles defense. Pretty much is what they're banking on.
And that's the thing, like you said that, right? They're getting a new defensive coordinator, but that defensive coordinator is taking on a big risk of taking this job, right? Because now he takes this job and then he realizes that the GM can't even use money to allocate towards his defense. So that doesn't even make sense for him to even take this job in general. It's probably not an attractive job because now they just paid all these guys and they haven't even realized that most of this money that they need to spend is in their defense, and a new defensive coordinator coming in wants to bring in his own guys and things to fit his scheme. Like they want players to fit the scheme that they want to incorporate into this defense, right? And they can't even do that because they don't even have the funds. I think they signed one linebacker in free agency. I think it was like I think they signed a linebacker in free agency, and then after that, they didn't do anything else because they couldn't. They were locked up, right? So I actually I don't know. I mean, they better hope he was like a Vic Fangio kind of ordeal here because it's not looking bright on the other side for the Bengals in this defense. It looks like they're going to run it back, and I mean this Bengals offense is going to have to carry the load again. And we saw how frustrating it was last year. Um, this is going to be a big year for the Bengals. They better come out with 50 points a game.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. I mean, and we were talking about the hot seat here with Joe Shine. Zach Taylor's on the hot seat. People wanted him gone last year, and then after that Super Bowl year, people when they obviously came up short to the they really should have won that game. But obviously they came up short. The Rams won. People wanted him gone after like the 2022 season after they lost the Chiefs. They wanted him gone the year after when they missed the playoffs. Burrow got hurt that year. People wanted him gone last year when they started super slow. They had to win out just to finish one game above 500. So he's kind of on the hot seat. Um, I actually think Zach Taylor is a really good offensive coordinator, but head coach, maybe that's debatable. But I think I don't know. They just like you said, it's kind of on the border of do or die for them next year, and they're pretty much running it back with the same team. And again, I think the offense next year is going to be a top tier offense, but the defense with the same guys pretty much, they're just going to have to hopefully significantly improve.
And look at that AFC North offensive teams that they're going to verse. Uh, Steelers, who knows what's going to happen with them, right? But they're once they get a quarterback, that offense is scary. If you look at the Ravens, that team is scary on the offensive end. Browns, we'll see, but man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the way that the Bengals look, and I don't even know if they make the playoffs again next year. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The AFC North is always stacked, always stacked.
Yep.
I'm just waiting for it to
Yeah.
cut us
That,
off
yeah.
here. It's been
Yeah.
at less than 1 minute for like 2 minutes now. It feels like.
Yeah.